The United Nations has just launched an unprecedented planetary defense exercise, all aimed at the interstellar object, 3I Atlas. New observations reveal a tail as long as 5 million kilometers, leading to a series of unanswered questions. At the same time, Professor Avi Loeb announced the discovery of a 12th anomaly, adding another layer of mystery to 3I Atlas's controversial profile. In just 20 days, the object will make its closest approach to Earth, a moment that has scientists and observers unable to take their eyes off. Is this just a special asteroid? Or is there a hidden artificial structure, a strange signal, or even a scenario that international agencies are secretly preparing? The developments of the past few days have piqued the curiosity of the space research community. Welcome to today's UFO News. Stay tuned, because what happens next will blow your mind if you are curious about the mystery of the 3I Atlas. And let me know where you are watching this video from. I would love to know where in the world I am witnessing this. Let's start with the news that's rocking the astronomy community. On November 25, the International Asteroid Alert Network officially launched an intensive observation campaign targeting asteroid 3I Atlas. This is the same agency that confounded the research world earlier this year when it issued a warning that object 2024 YR4 had a 1% chance of hitting Earth, enough to trigger a global alert and mark one of the most serious warnings in a decade. According to the Minor Planet Center, the new campaign will run from the 27th of November 2025 to the 27th of January 2026. This is the 8th observation since 2017, but the first time the IAO has actively targeted an interstellar object. What's more interesting is that throughout the announcement, they seem to deliberately avoid mentioning 3I Atlas's extrasolar origins, as if to avoid fanning curiosity or creating widespread speculation in the scientific community. Comets are notoriously difficult targets to track, the IAO explains, because their fuzzy heads and tails make it difficult to pinpoint the exact location of their nuclei. Without high-resolution positioning data, orbit reconstruction is nearly impossible. This has led the community to question whether 3I Atlas's 5 million kilometer wide dust cloud is hiding something unusual. Some researchers have even boldly hypothesized that if 3I Atlas exhibits the same microgravity acceleration as 2017's Oumuamua, a phenomenon that made that object the biggest question mark in modern planetary science, then this could open up a whole new level of interstellar research. NASA continues to insist that 3I Atlas poses no direct threat to Earth. However, ESA sees this as a rare opportunity to test planetary defense scenarios using real-world data from an object from outside the solar system that has only existed in simulations. Many analysts say the increased monitoring by international agencies at this time could indicate that 3I Atlas's orbit or behavior is more unusual than what has been officially announced. 3I Atlas's closest approach to Earth is less than 3 weeks away, allowing every fluctuation in its activity to be recorded with millisecond precision. And while no one has a definitive answer, the inexplicable gravitational pull of this interstellar object is still keeping the world's eyes on it. Meanwhile, the latest images are coming not from NASA, but from amateur astronomers, and they are creating more heat than any official report. Over the past few days, sky photographers around the world have captured the clearest and sharpest frames of 3I Atlas since its discovery. What is amazing is that civilian equipment can produce images with details far beyond what major space agencies have ever released publicly. The most shocking image belongs to Mitsunori Samura, taken on November 22 with a half-meter telescope. At that time, 3I Atlas was about 300 million kilometers away from Earth. Analysis by Professor Avi Loeb, posted on Medium, shows that the main tail of 3I Atlas in the image is up to 5 million kilometers long, while the reverse tail is an unusual bright band pointing towards the sun instead of radiating out about 1 million kilometers long. To put that in perspective, the Earth is only 12,700 kilometers wide. This means that the tail of 3I Atlas is nearly 400 times the diameter of our planet, a size that is difficult to explain with a conventional cometary jet mechanism. So there are more questions than answers. Professor Loeb stressed that the speed and composition of the outflows will determine the nature of the phenomenon. If the velocity is consistent with the evaporation of pockets of ice heated by the sun, it may be a natural phenomenon. But if the speed is much higher than that, it could suggest the existence of some kind of driving force that is not necessarily artificial, but certainly different from what current comet physics describes. This scenario, of course, opens the way to more daring hypotheses about the possibility of extraterrestrial technology. Samura wasn't the only one to note the strange structure. Peter Carson-Allais' images, taken on November 22, and Walter's on November 24, both showed a strikingly similar pattern: a halo around the nucleus, a tail that clung to the sun as if under control, and a main tail that extended in opposite directions like a double impulse. The perfect match of images from different locations almost completely eliminates the possibility of optical errors. What remains for researchers is the big question. Is 3I Atlas behaving like a comet with a natural mechanism, or is it being driven by an active mechanism that humanity has never witnessed? With a deadline now just days away, no one can be sure what will happen next. The only thing that is clear is that each new image that is revealed pushes the story of the 3I Atlas deeper into its own mystery, like a veil being slowly lifted but revealing more questions than answers. This context has led to what Professor Avi Loeb calls anomaly 12, a new paradox added to the already long list of anomalies surrounding 3I Atlas. In July and August, astronomers measured the object's rotation period at about 16 hours. According to the principles of kinematics, an object rotating with such a period and ejecting jets of gas would create a twisted, spread out, or blurred pattern in images similar to the elongated streak of ink drawn on a rotating disk. But the November 9 image shows the exact opposite. The jets from 3I Atlas appear remarkably aligned and collimated, stretching for more than 1 million kilometers without a trace of blur. This extreme precision is in direct conflict with the previous rotation period, creating what Loeb sees as the latest anomaly in the object's behavior. One possible explanation suggested by Loeb is that 3I Atlas's rotation may have slowed significantly since July. However, this contradicts cometary physics, as asymmetric outgassing usually causes objects to spin faster, but rarely slow them down. If 3I Atlas is indeed slowing down, it would be a phenomenon that is extremely difficult to explain using conventional natural mechanisms. Another theory is that pockets of surface ice are located in special cavities that are only illuminated when the sun hits them at a certain angle. This could create pulsating jets that appear straighter and sharper in images. NASA also mentioned this theory in a recent press conference to explain the strange jets. However, not all researchers are convinced by this mechanical explanation. Loeb says it's a possibility that needs to be confirmed by actual observations. If, in the coming weeks, the James Webb Space Telescope detects a heat signature from 3I Atlas that far exceeds what sunlight can produce, it could indicate the existence of an internal power source. That's not proof of alien technology, but Loeb emphasizes that if we don't actively look for signs of technology, we'll never notice it, even if it's there. The story of 3I Atlas thus continues to unfold hour by hour with new information. One of the most important events ahead is 3I Atlas's approach to Jupiter in March. This encounter has the potential to completely change the orbit, speed, and may even reveal properties that we have never observed in any interstellar object in history. That makes astronomers believe that what is coming may be even more shocking than all that has been announced. This is where the numbers really get interesting. Based on Loeb's latest calculations, 3I Atlas's antitail is powerful enough to cut through the solar wind, a stream of charged particles that travels at an average speed of about 400 kilometers per second. To withstand such a powerful plasma, the antitail must carry a huge amount of material with enormous kinetic energy. It is estimated that 3I Atlas has lost several billion tons of material in the past 2 months alone. If it were a natural comet, this would represent nearly 10% of its minimum mass. However, to explain this massive loss by conventional ice sublimation, the surface of the object would have to be much larger than Hubble has measured. This puts 3I Atlas in a difficult position to explain using any standard cometary model. Loeb makes an important comparison, arguing that a technological propulsion system, if it exists, could produce similar accelerations but with much less mass loss. Because technological engines can propel matter at much higher velocities than natural evaporation, the propulsion would require less material loss. This difference is large enough to be considered an indication of an unnatural mechanism. Spectroscopic measurements scheduled for December will be crucial, he stressed. They could reveal whether the material ejected from 3I Atlas is water vapor, carbon monoxide, or methanol, the familiar signatures of natural comets, or an unusual gas that defies our known chemical model. If the spectra reveal emission lines that don't fit with cometary physics, the story of 3I Atlas could take a completely different direction, one that transcends the boundaries of traditional astronomy. What we've discussed today is likely just the tip of the iceberg. The data coming in could be the biggest twist yet in the entire story of this interstellar object, and the world is waiting to see what emerges when the fog finally lifts. So what happens next? The first notable milestone is fast approaching. On the 19th of December 2025, 3I Atlas will make its closest approach to Earth, coming within about 270 million kilometers, 170 million miles, or roughly twice the Earth-Sun distance. This is not a dangerous approach, but it is a prime time for collecting high-quality data. According to Professor Avi Loeb, space agencies should emphasize this importance rather than deliberately downplaying the air of mystery surrounding the 3I Atlas. Instead of trying to appease the public, he argues, scientists should acknowledge that the current data raise big questions that only more sophisticated measurements in the future can answer. But all signs indicate that this has not been done properly. December is just the beginning, though. A much more significant event will take place on the 16th of March 2026 when 3I Atlas passes Jupiter. This is a time that researchers are particularly interested in because, according to Avi Loeb's calculations, 3I Atlas's orbit will take it right into Jupiter's Hill radius. This is the region of space where the gas giant's gravity becomes stronger than the sun's, enough that any object entering it could be trapped or severely impacted. This opens up a tantalizing prospect. If 3I Atlas releases material or small objects from this region, they could become trapped in Jupiter's orbit. Loeb notes that such a perfect match of distance and timing almost evokes hypothetical scenarios, such as deploying small probes to reach the gas giant in the most precise and energy-efficient way. NASA and ESA are certainly not left out of this picture. NASA's Juno spacecraft, currently orbiting Jupiter, will use its radio receiver to listen for low-frequency signals from 3I Atlas during the encounter. Juno will scan a frequency range of 50 Hz to 40 MHz, wide enough to detect both natural signals and anomalies, if any exist. ESA's JUICE spacecraft, meanwhile, observed 3I Atlas in November, but due to its remote location and limited data transmission speeds, the information JUICE collected is still on its way back to Earth and is not expected to be available until February 2026. This leaves a notable gap. As we enter the most crucial phase of our approach to Jupiter, humanity will not yet know the full extent of what JUICE recorded. We are approaching what could be the most intense phase of 3I Atlas's journey, where every measurement, every flash of light, every radio signal has the potential to completely change how we understand this interstellar object. And as that moment gets closer than ever, the mystery surrounding 3I Atlas deepens. For those who want to see 3I Atlas for themselves, there is still a chance to do so. The object is currently located in the constellation Virgo at an apparent magnitude of around 9 to 10. Too faint to be seen with the naked eye, but bright enough to be seen with a medium-sized telescope under dark skies. Observers in the Northern Hemisphere should be able to find 3I Atlas in the early morning hours before dawn. A telescope of around 20 centimeters in diameter should be able to make out the object, although it may only be a faint streak of light with a long tail behind it. Under better conditions, long exposure photography may also be able to capture its tail structure, something that many amateur photographers around the world have proven possible. According to NASA, 3I Atlas will remain visible in the sky until spring 2026. After that, it will gradually leave the solar system and continue its journey back to interstellar space, where we will almost certainly never see it again. This makes every moment of observation in the coming months special, like the last minutes before a door closes forever. And while the debate over 3I Atlas's unusual behavior continues, a more daring set of theories is beginning to gain traction in the space community. Some SETI scholars believe that 3I Atlas's reverse tail shape, ability to penetrate the solar wind, and unusual mass loss rate could be signs of a previously unknown technological mechanism similar to ion engines or plasma propulsion systems that humanity has only just begun to experiment with. They recall the case of Oumuamua in 2017, when Professor Loeb himself proposed the hypothesis that it could be an artificial light sail. If Oumuamua is a prototype, could 3I Atlas be a new generation, more sophisticated and powerful, perhaps even capable of carrying or launching probes in favorable gravitational conditions? Some theories go further, suggesting that 3I Atlas may not be a natural comet at all, but rather a camouflage shell encasing an internal structure when it enters Jupiter's Hill radius in March 2026. The shell could open up and release smaller structures, like technological seeds, to take advantage of the strong radiation and magnetic field environment to collect data. These ideas may seem bold, but they fit surprisingly well with what humans are doing with our interplanetary probes. And if astronomy has taught us anything, it's that the universe is always bigger than we imagine. The international UFO community has even taken this a step further, suggesting that if 3I Atlas is indeed an interstellar spy craft, it is possible that major space agencies have discovered something unusual but are not announcing it because of the unforeseeable consequences for global security. The recent downplaying of interstellar elements in NASA and ESA reports is believed to be a strategy to keep the public at bay until data from Webb, Juno, or JUICE forces them to reveal the truth. Meanwhile, some conspiracy theorists have speculated that recent diplomatic activity among powerful space nations, including the United States, China, and several European countries, involves not only conventional space cooperation, but also top-secret information about 3I Atlas. The unusual frequency of closed-door meetings, vague statements from officials, and increased orbital monitoring by strategic radar systems have led many to question whether 3I Atlas is simply a strange comet or is becoming the catalyst for a new geopolitical race in interstellar space. If the object contains alien matter, technological signals, or any form of information beyond current understanding, the first nation to reach it will hold a decisive military, scientific, and economic advantage over the world order. When you piece together all the disparate details, from the unusual orbital behavior to the political and scientific movements behind the scenes, the picture of 3I Atlas becomes more intriguing than any science fiction novel. It's not just a distant celestial body, but could be the opening piece to a larger story involving extraterrestrial technology, intelligent life in the universe, or even an experiment that humanity accidentally witnessed. If 3I Atlas does indeed come from another part of the galaxy and carry something beyond our understanding, the coming months could mark an unprecedented turning point in history. And who knows, when we look up at the night sky, we might not just be observing an interstellar object, but also a window into cosmic secrets that humanity has never even imagined. And so, 3I Atlas's journey continues to reveal new layers of mystery. Each piece of data, each image, each signal, like a puzzle piece that humanity has never faced before. We don't know if 3I Atlas is just a strange comet, an interstellar messenger, or an extraterrestrial technology quietly passing through the solar system. But one thing is certain: everything that happens between now and the upcoming milestones could change the way we see the universe and ourselves. If you want to stay with us, updated with the latest analysis, the boldest hypotheses, and new evidence that can explode at any time, don't forget to subscribe to the channel now and turn on the notification bell. Many surprises are waiting ahead, and you definitely won't want to miss a moment of this journey to explore the mysteries between the stars.